They say it all begins with you, your choices, your decision, your life. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me on another episode of They Say It Takes a Village. On today's show, I've got an absolute female powerhouse, a Dubai-based entrepreneur, and a very close friend of mine, Reem Kanj. She's come here to talk to me about her journey on egg freezing, what she experienced, the ups and downs, and how it all turned out for her. So without further ado, let me pass it on to Reem. Thank you
Raya.
so much.
Thank you so
on.
much. I'm so proud of you watching
my
you do that
gosh.
intro and like seeing this setup. It's amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. I was just saying, it makes me so nervous when I have to do anything solo. So the fact that you're here, I'm just way more at ease now that you're having a conversation.
You are a natural.
Habibti,
I
thank you.
love it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. And thank you for taking the time out. I mean,
Of
just talking
course.
about your crazy schedule.
Yeah, it's intense.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for making the time.
Of course. I'm so happy to be here and to share this message.
Yeah, I think that this was important. And I think it fits into It Takes a Village. I mean, egg freezing, fertility, all this type of stuff. You know, people are in the path of, you know, sort of becoming a parent, wanting to be a parent, is a parent. So I feel like it all kind of ties in together quite nicely.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell listeners a little bit about yourself? How long have you been in the UAE? And what you do and what you practice?
Let me think about how long have I been in the UAE.
I think you've been in and out.
Yeah, I've been in and out since 2007, but I officially moved here in 2017. So that would make it, 6 years this year?
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
My math is horrible.
Yeah, so yeah.
6 years this year. I moved from London, and it was definitely a culture shock in terms of lifestyle, because in London I was so used to like a very challenging life in terms of walking everywhere, getting on the tube, rushing, bumping into people, like just go.
Yeah.
And in Dubai, I come and I'm like, oh, there's valet.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a car.
Yeah,
What is this?
Yeah, everything
There's
is
delivery.
a click away. Yeah.
Literally. I remember one time I was going to be baking a cake with my sister, and I was like, oh, we forgot to get sugar. Like, I guess we're not going to make the cake. She's like, what are you talking about? Like, just call this person. They bring it up in 2 seconds. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I couldn't wrap my head around how easy it was.
No, the convenience factor here is
Yeah,
unbelievable.
but it's been amazing. Definitely a journey, but one that I'm still getting used to and very much loving. So I do feel like Dubai has become my home.
And what are you doing these days? I mean, I feel like you've got a long list of things that you are currently juggling, hands in every pot, basically.
Yeah, I mean, my sister and I run a company called Ego and East, but actually we just merged with another company called Maison Pyramide.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I heard
and
it was amazing.
Yeah.
An amazing sort of setup.
Yeah, I mean, this was in the works for almost a year. And it was a very exciting but very big move for us to make. We are no longer just her and I. Now we're 6 partners in total, but we have so much respect and admiration for the other partners that we work with. They're all incredible people. So we're very excited, but it just means that my plate is even fuller.
Yeah, fuller. I feel like that's everybody, I feel, in this sort of age group, or whoever I speak to in this age group, is doing so much.
Right.
And is trying to do it very, very quickly. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
And there is a tendency of wanting to hustle, and this is what we're doing. But yeah, the plate gets really quite full.
For sure. I feel like growing up, I was definitely, I had my mom, who is an incredible mother and an amazing woman, but she got married at 21 and had me very soon after.
Yeah.
And growing up with my eldest cousins, that's also what I saw from my female cousins. Like, they would get married and have babies and just kind of do that. And so I always thought by the time I'm 25, I'll have 3 kids and a husband. Yeah. And that just wasn't the case, I think we're the generation that did it different and started working and focusing on career. So for me now, I'm 36 next month, and I'm like, wow, I still haven't done the husband and kids thing. And it's amazing. Like, I love my career and putting that first, but I'm definitely excited to try and see what life would be like if I was to slow down slightly. Although saying that, speaking to you, I know it's not a slower pace when you have children.
It definitely is not. Like, it's not slower.
No.
No, but I get what you're saying in the sense that it is a different type of slow. There are moments where you don't have a choice, with kids, you have to take some sort of, not so much your career is on the back burner, but your job just becomes a little bit less important.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I noticed in little snippets. Yeah. So when I'm with my friends' kids, one of our friends had a baby and he's 5 months old, and I was giving the mom a break and I had him for a bit, and like, I was, obviously my work doesn't stop. It really transpires into the evening. So when I was with baby Rayanne, I didn't care. I'm like, I can't look at my phone. I can't check anything. In fact, I'm just hyper focused on this adorable little person. And if he's okay and if he's happy, nothing else mattered. And he's not even my child.
Yeah.
So I think it gave me this insight into, wow, if I had a baby, things would just be way less important.
Yeah, it puts things in perspective.
Right, exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
That's definitely the case. I think kids have a way of, it's important. Of course, I mean, at the end of the day, we have to provide for them. And, your living is very, very important. But also, there is a somewhat priority shift.
Yeah.
The moment they come in. The moment that you realize, okay, I'm pregnant, and you think, oh my God, something else. I've got the full responsibility to make sure this pregnancy is happy, healthy, the baby comes out happy and healthy. And when they do come, they are a lot of work. So that's also another thing where you think, I can't manage this and this all at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of workload, I get it. Everything has its priority. But I think what I'm referring to is in my line of work and in our culture today, we just have this need to respond immediately, to always be available, to like fill up our days, to be as productive and busy as possible. And for me, that's starting to like really wear me down. And maybe I can't respond to a message right now because I'm filming a podcast or, making lunch. I don't know what it is.
No, but honestly, it's something to talk about. Maybe we should do this again in terms of another episode, really. Like, to have this instant gratification in a world where you need to just be online all the time.
Right.
It's hard.
It is very difficult.
And I don't know who can do that all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's scary. And I think that's what I'm referring to, because obviously work is something that's part of me, and I'm a very career-driven person. And even if I weren't, I'm a hard worker.
Yeah.
Whether I was
got a good work ethic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I always have been since I was young. So I don't think that's ever going to go away. But it is just this mental space of I must be available to anyone and everyone whenever they request of me. So I feel like, inshallah, if I was to have kids, I might be able to slow down on that perspective and think, actually, that's not the case.
No.
I don't need to be available for texts and WhatsApps and emails and calls at the drop of a hat.
I feel like that leads to the big question. Do you want children?
Oh my gosh.
You do.
Oh my God, yeah. Of course I want kids. Yeah. I have wanted kids since I can remember. Yeah. Like, my brother was born 11 years after me.
Oh, so you were fully...
I was ready. Yeah. I had my doll. I was like, my brother's coming, like so excited. So I've been around kids for as long as I can remember.
He was 11 years younger.
He's 11 years younger. He acts like my bigger brother.
Yeah, and he's so tall.
And I let him. And he's so tall and gorgeous. Yeah. If any girls are single.
Yeah.
I'm looking
You heard it here first.
But yeah, I have been used to kids, and I come from a really big family, so there's always kids around, and I love that. I love that energy. I would definitely love my own, inshallah, God willing, if I'm able to.
Yeah.
So yeah, that answers your question. Definitely want kids.
Kids are on the plan.
Inshallah.
So obviously, I guess this all leads to the decision that you took to freeze your eggs.
Yes.
And we touched on the fact that, like you mentioned, even, my mother, your mom, they, at that generation, got married quite young.
Right.
And had kids well before they even turned 30. That didn't happen. That didn't happen to me. That is not happening right now.
Yeah.
So prior to making the decision to freezing your eggs, how long did you start thinking about it? How long did it take you to actually make a decision?
Well, I'll give you a background. You obviously know this because you're one of my closest friends.
Yeah.
But I was married, and I was with this person for my entire 20s. So I met him at 21. We got married at 29 when I was 29.
Yeah.
And then I left at 30.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a shock and kind of a life-changing situation, but all for the better, thank God. And I obviously thought I would be having children with this person. And when that didn't happen, I had a whole new life ahead of me. I had never been single before.
That's right. 'Cause in your 20s was in a
Right.
serious relationship.
And I was building my business the
Yeah.
entire time. So I'd never partied, gone out, like hung out. I didn't really have my own group of friends. Like everything was very intertwined with this person.
like a couple's
Exactly.
relationship. Yeah.
And I was living in London. So I ended up getting a divorce, going through that, which is very tough on a person,
100%.
especially a young person. And then I moved to Dubai quite suddenly and just started this brand new life. And I also turned 30. So it was just this cusp of a brand new chapter in my life, which when I look back, I think you were such a baby.
I know,
You
30 is very young.
very young. And I
Very
was
young.
experiencing all of these things that women tend to experience in their 20s.
Yeah.
My sister would have to teach me things. She'd be like, you want to avoid this kind of person
Yeah.
because this kind of person is after just this
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it was a really interesting time in my life. I remember turning 31 and realizing I don't think I'm ready to enter into a marriage right now.
Of course.
When I'm still trying to get a divorce from my previous one. So I knew that I wanted to bide some time.
Yeah.
And I went to a gynecologist who is amazing. And I asked her to check my AMH levels.
Yeah. So your egg
Egg
reserve.
count.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she told me, and this was in August, what year was it? But I was 31, so 4 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
5 years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2017.
2017 or
Yeah.
2018 it might
Okay.
have been.
Yeah.
And sorry, my math is
No,
actually
the only reason why you said 5 because Laith is 5 and he was born in 2017. That's
but
it.
I'm turning 36, so yeah,
Okay.
it would have been the year
Yeah.
after.
Okay.
Okay, so she checked my levels and she told me, you're fine, but you are on the lower side of average. So if you are not planning on having children in the next 2 years, I would recommend egg freezing.
Okay.
And this is where the universe kind of like plays with me.
Yeah.
So our friend Janet
Yes.
was at the same time
Yeah.
preaching to all of us girls about egg
I remember.
freezing.
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, what are you talking about? Like, we're
Yeah.
out trying to have a good time.
Yeah. Like, why are you talking to us about preservation?
Right,
Like, we don't care
exactly.
right now. Yeah.
And I had literally never even entertained a conversation or tried to learn about egg freezing before. But all of a sudden I had my gyno telling me, you might want to consider this in 2 years. And at the same time, one of our close friends talking about egg freezing. So I'm like, maybe the universe is trying to tell me something.
Yeah.
But at the time I wasn't that in tuned to signs or pings
Yeah,
like that I
yeah.
just kind of left it.
yeah.
Fast forward a year, one of our mutual friends, Layla Cardan,
Yeah.
invited me to a seminar.
Yeah.
And she was speaking about her egg freezing journey.
Oh, wow.
And I have a lot of admiration for Layla, and we were friends at the time. And I asked her, like, I had no idea you froze your eggs. And when she explained to me, it's something for you. She opened my eyes to the idea. I went to the seminar. I got to hear her speak to doctors from the clinic and basically sat there for an hour, just like soaking in the information. It was amazing. I loved what I was learning. I loved what I was hearing.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like this feeling of ultimate control, and I love being in control.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I just had this great energy from this night. Fast forward another year,
My gosh.
and we're now in 2020, and
Okay.
it was, the time where you're doing your New Year's resolutions.
That's right.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And I wrote down at the end of 2020, I want to freeze my eggs.
Okay.
So I had it in my mind, khalas, like it's been the 2 years since the gyno
Yeah.
said, I'm still not married.
Yeah.
I don't plan on being married.
Yeah.
I want to have children one day. So let me consider this. So I put it down in my little notebook. I'm going to freeze my eggs at the end of the year. And then COVID hit.
Oh my gosh.
And during this time, I honestly took advantage of honestly, for me, I know everyone had very different experiences with lockdown, but for me it was and still is one of the best experiences, mainly because I was at home and I got to slow down and really just ground myself. I wasn't in the best place physically or, sometimes mentally it was very difficult, but I loved the no FOMO side of life.
That's right.
And just the slower pace
and the things,
of
everything was canceled.
Oh, it was
and
amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah. No, thing is, I know what you're saying. And there are moments I catch myself like, oh, like it would be great if we went back into lockdown.
Right.
Yeah.
Just the slower pace. Like I was doing puzzles every day. I was reading books. Like I was just loving it. So during this time, I also took advantage of not ordering in because I was so paranoid, I don't want anyone delivering food, cooking food because of COVID. So I was eating extremely clean and I wasn't drinking alcohol and I wasn't socializing. So I only smoke socially, like a vape or an IQOS every once in a while, very socially, never at home. So I also wasn't doing any social activities. So I was not smoking, not drinking, not eating any like crap.
Yeah, you're sort of cooking at home.
And I thought to myself, this is the cleanest
and the healthiest
I am ever going to be in my life because I am just emitting like all toxins. So why not just freeze my eggs now when the eggs are like all clean and pure, Like, I don't know if that makes a difference.
No, it's true. It's not like you have to go into like a crash detox.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes a difference in terms of your diet or your alcohol intake or whatever. But in my head, I was like, "Khalas, like, this is the best time."
At the same time, it was the best time. You are at home. You can rest. Going through because there are changes. So what better way to kind of just do it when you're not going out or doing anything or seeing people or having to worry about listening to others
or stress. I wasn't
stressed.
I wasn't like angry. I wasn't panicking. I wasn't having anxiety.
Let's bring back 2020 though.
Let's not give people trauma.
No.
We like it now in 2020.
Yeah, in hindsight. Yeah.
But so I contacted the clinic that I did the appointment, the procedure with in the end, and told them, are you open? Because I realized like a lot of places are still closed, and they said we actually are. And I told them I was interested in doing this. And then I booked it. I waited for my period because the process is you have to go in on the second day of your period and start the hormonal injections. And it was crazy, Raya. Like I didn't get my period. My period was 2 weeks late for some reason. And I kept thinking, is this like a sign or whatever was happening? I don't know what was happening, but I just waited and waited and waited. And usually I'm very like on schedule.
Yeah.
It was a really strange thing. But anyway, ended up coming and I went in. Everything was fine. She did the AMH check again. She's like, absolutely, this is the time to do it, which was a bit scary to hear, but also good. Yeah. And I started learning about the hormonal injections. Every time I talk about it, I do this because I just remember doing it.
Yeah.
That's the place that you inject yourself. So every time I'm like, yes, I froze my eggs.
It's like a visual representation.
I still remember. But so I learned everything. They gave me the option to go into the clinic every day to do the injections with someone, but I opted to do it at home. And at first it was kind of scary.
It seems a bit intense.
Because it's a lot of needles. And if you don't love needles, you're going to have to get used to needles. But there was something, I don't know if this is part of the next question. Am I rambling?
No. Keep going. No, it's all,
There was something really therapeutic and kind of connecting about doing it myself.
Yeah. As opposed to like a procedure that somebody has to do for you.
Right. And getting in the car and driving and going to an appointment. Like I just took everything in they put it in like a little like
kit
thing, like a kit. And it has like a little bin for the used needles and everything. It was just really cute.
Yeah.
I felt like, this is me, my body, my eggs.
It's my responsibility.
I loved it. Yeah. So I took everything home and I started doing the hormone shots for, I think it was like 2 weeks. I took 19 injections in total, I remember. And I watched my body change. People don't realize that, but my body personally changed. I don't know if I ever sent you a picture. I looked pregnant.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was funny.
Because there is a little bit of bloating that happens.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that
Okay.
with that. But I mean, so after, I mean, just obviously you are in sort of a public capacity. You
Right.
are a public figure. And I do remember you did publicly talk about it.
Right.
That's something that not a lot of people can do.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to do it? I mean, it is a personal thing, but why did you feel, I guess, compelled to share your story?
So I called my parents, and they live in another country. They live in Lebanon, and I was in Dubai, and I had made the decision, but I called my parents, and luckily they were together, and I was like,
Listen,
Mom,
heads
Dad.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, Mom, guess what, Dad? Like, I have something to tell you. And my mom was like, you're freezing your eggs. I'm like,
How did you know?
how do you know everything? Like, how do you just know everything? She's like, I'm so proud of you. I knew this day was going to come. Like, I love it, blah, blah, blah. My dad, like, what? What's that? Like, what are you talking about? She had freezing eggs. Like, he just didn't get it.
Yeah.
But obviously, he's extremely supportive, and he 100% supported me in the end. And so I told my parents that was great. And I started telling friends, you know, privately, individually. I would be like, guys, like, guess what? Like, I'm going to freeze my eggs. And I was expecting different reactions from different people. Some girls, I would expect them to be like, why? Like, aren't you going to get married? Don't you want to have kids? Like, I don't get it. Like, why would you do that? No one had that reaction. Like, everyone was so supportive, whether it was from my pregnant friends who just got married or my friends who are mothers already or my single friends. Everyone was just like, that's amazing. Like,
That's a
I didn't
great
even
decision.
Yeah, it's a great decision. Like, tell me more about it. And they were like, you know, we don't talk about this enough. Like, I don't hear about this enough. You're the first person I've heard that's telling me something like this. And I just thought, wow, either there is like a stigma where it's seen as some kind of, shh, don't talk about that in public, like a taboo, or do you consider yourself marriable?
Yeah. Like, just because I'm not married and that's the reason why.
Right.
Yeah.
Or do you not want kids? Or, you know, whatever it was, like, what's wrong with you? Like, do you not think you could have kids? And A, who knows until they try.
Yeah.
And B, you can do it even if you're married.
Absolutely.
And you don't want to have kids yet.
Yeah.
And C, like, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It doesn't mean I think that something's wrong with my body or my productive system or that I'll never find
the right
person to want to start a family with. So just based off of the, you know, the reactions and the questions, I thought this is quite an important topic. And yes, I do have a public profile and I'm very private, even though it is a public profile. I don't really talk about my personal life too much. To this day, I've never explained why I had a divorce 9 months after sharing a beautiful wedding on my Instagram. And that's because there's no need for that information to be shared. However, the news of a young woman not finding love or peace in a marriage to then make a decision to divorce, that was something I thought people should be aware.
Absolutely.
It's okay to get a divorce.
Absolutely.
And it's okay to be okay with that, you know? So things like that, I don't mind sharing. And the egg freezing comes into that. So I decided I didn't want to actually share the journey. That was something for me that I wanted to do in private and experience privately. Like, I didn't want to document it.
Oh, just the needles and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, or like talk like
through what
daily.
is happening. Yeah.
But the day of the procedure, I posted a photo and said, for the past 2 weeks, I've been on like a amazing journey with myself, and today I froze my eggs. And honestly, Raya, I've never in my life experienced that kind of love.
It's so nice.
And
support.
Just support, and not just that, but just the sharing of that news to like, girls would come up to me in restaurants and be like, my aunt sent me your video and your photo and told me like what you did, and now I'm gonna go and do that. I'm like, this is amazing. Or they'd say, thank you for discussing it, because this wasn't a discussion, and you know, now it seems a lot less like a intimidating or wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
There is, I don't know what it is about it. There is this, you know, it is very hush hush, and there's like like it is a stigma, it is a bit of shame, but I don't actually know why.
Yeah.
Is it because it's eggs? I keep thinking to myself, like, why is it something that we don't just say, well, okay, well, you're not married, and we cannot avoid the fact that there is a chronological
I think that's what it is.
I think the age problem.
I think it reminds people that women, or also reminds us that we do have
a timeline.
A timeline. And that's not something we want to
It's not an attractive thing.
Right, exactly.
But we should all be 25 and full of eggs. You know, like.
But the funny thing is, like, even the men in my life, my friends, they were so supportive.
Yeah.
And they were like, good for you. This is amazing. And I think for them, they were like, I wish all women would do this and then not feel so pressured to be like, let's get married and have babies.
Because on top of it, you with that pressure, I always think to myself, if I work under pressure for anything, I'm bound to make mistakes.
100%.
So if you've got the pressure of, oh my God, I'm approaching 35, which is the you know, the age that everyone's scared about.
Yeah.
You're probably going to take a very risky chance of marrying somebody or being with somebody 100%. Who is very wrong for you.
100%.
Why? Because you've got this ticking clock behind you.
Oh yeah. This was a massive part of it, by the way. Like, I do not want to ever feel, and I'm a very, like, I would say, okay, confident, like I know who I am, but I make mistakes all the time when it comes to love and relationships, because You're
a human being.
I'm a human, but also I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'm very, like, susceptible to being hurt, you know? So
I hope nobody ever does. Yeah.
But it happens.
Yeah.
And yes, I didn't want to be in that position where I thought, okay, maybe he's the one, you know, because I just can't wait to have a cute little baby. But I didn't want that. And I'm so happy. And ever since then, it's changed the way I view relationships.
You've taken the pressure off.
Completely.
And you're not looking to think, oh my God, I'm 34 this year. Oh my God, I'm 35 this year. This needs to work. This relationship is it.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's stressful.
100%. Like, I don't know if there are other single women in their wow, that sounds really weird. Mid-30s, Raya.
Yeah, but that's the best. Honestly, that for me is the best stage in life.
I'm really excited for 40.
Me too.
I want to just skip to 40.
I mean, I'm fast approaching. It's a bit nerve-wracking, and I keep thinking to myself, oh my God, am I actually ready? But no. In the 20, you know, sort of when I was 20, it was great, but I had no idea who I was. There was this lost feeling, what I was doing. I sort of finished university, and then what? And then it was like, okay, you're single for a while. Okay, let's get married. 20s are not as comfortable as I wanted them to be, but 30s, mid-30s, approaching 40. No, I know what I want. I mean, decisions I make are pretty solid. So I don't know. I love it.
Honestly, when people compare, when they say 30 is like old, I'm like, no. 20, 25, you've only really been an adult for 3 years. Let's face it.
100%.
So like, I'm not ready to deal with life at that age.
Yeah.
35, you would hope that, you know, you're in a position where you understand who you are. You're comfortable in your skin, your body. You know who your friends are. You prioritize the right things for you in life. I'm very happy with being 35. No, it's an 100%. Amazing age.
It's a beautiful year, and it's really, really, and I feel like it only gets better. And now
for sure,
everyone is super healthy. You know, aging isn't what it used to be.
Yeah.
In any way. Yeah. Aside from, yes, there is a undeniable egg situation.
That's the only thing.
That's the only thing.
Yeah. But it's like putting money in the bank.
Yeah. Well, that's it. You've got an insurance policy.
100%. That's how I viewed it. I'm like, I have travel insurance, life insurance, home insurance. Like, how about baby insurance?
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. That's actually exactly what it is. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And you know, it's just, there is hormones that are attached to and you touched on that.
Yeah.
And it is a necessary part of it. So there is a little bit of discomfort, I'm assuming.
So this is the part that I'm actually really grateful to continue the discussion on, because I did post a video to then walk everyone through and answer their questions on what it was like, how long it took.
How did you feel physically, mentally?
Yeah. But I did that video within the week of freezing my eggs, of the procedure. Yeah. And I never followed up on that video But actually, I went into like a very downward spiral 2 weeks afterwards.
Okay.
And I think it was like a hit from all the hormones.
Yeah.
There was also another side effect. I got melasma on my face, again from hormones. And that's kind of normal. It happens with a hormone imbalance.
I think it also happens in pregnancy.
In pregnancy, it's just hormonal.
Yeah.
So when I was freezing my eggs, I experienced my body changing. And it was actually the most beautiful feeling, because I'm like, something is happening. I'm like, is this a snippet of what it's like to be pregnant? To feel things happening in your body? You know, your eggs are getting larger so that they can be
released,
extracted. And khalas, like I felt like something's changed. My clothes were fitting differently. I looked so bloated that I looked pregnant.
Were you uncomfortable?
No, I loved it.
Okay.
Like, this is pre-pregnant vibes, you know, like I loved it.
I'm just sitting rubbing my belly.
Yeah. My sister and I went out for dinner one day and I was wearing a dress. I didn't even care. I'm like, I look full on pregnant. I wasn't drinking alcohol because I was still on my detox clean vibe as I was doing the hormones. And people thought I was pregnant. I'm like, no, just like making sure that happens one day.
That will happen. Yeah.
So it's a crazy experience. But I went on this downward spiral about 2 weeks after. And I think it was because of all the hormones. And I wish I did mention that. But honestly, I wasn't mentally in a place to then do a follow-up video and be like, by the way, like I got a bit depressing.
So
like,
that's what
afterwards.
Can I ask, I mean, what were you feeling?
I was just not feeling happy, like at all. I was just, everything was dark. Everything was really dark, but it wasn't, I can't say that it was a direct effect of freezing my eggs. I just know it was hormonal. And we were just having this conversation before we started recording. I'm starting to realize a pattern when it comes to hormones, that I can go to a very dark place. And I have to do a lot of connecting to myself to remind myself I am not my thoughts. I am just witnessing my thoughts. You are okay. It's okay. You can think these things. Just don't believe these things. And that to this day still takes a lot of practice. So
So that was it. Physically you felt good.
And
throughout.
The water weight that you put on is easily sheddable. Like you can get rid of that. And you know me, I'm very disciplined in the gym and with my diet. So I like was normal afterwards to my normal. And then mentally, you just have to keep doing all the things, you know, the meditating, the journaling, like the going out with your friends and
to pull out from that.
If you feel those things.
A little funny. And you are, like you said, you are quite mindful about what you put in your body, and to live a healthy lifestyle and push that forward, and you are very disciplined about it. Aside from, I think it would, because it was COVID, you were on this super healthy sort of setup anyway. But do you think that if it wasn't, you would have prepared for it that way? Would you have cut out certain things?
Me personally, absolutely. I'm very much like that. Like I like to do things in a way where I feel like I'm very aware of toxins. Sometimes I'm not. Like if I'm out and we're having a good time, be like, give me the vape. It's okay. Like live life. But on a day to day, I would like to say that the majority of the time I am very conscious in what I shampoo with, wash my face with, put in my body. Like even where I live, I was living in an area that was, you know, a really beautiful area in Dubai, but I had a balcony and there was a main road, and I was like, I don't want to live on a main road. I moved to a building that has no windows because I'm like, I don't want the fumes.
Or no windows that open.
Or exactly. No windows that open.
Like black box of a house.
Because I was super conscious of the fact that I don't want fumes, you know, as much as possible. So I'm very much like that. And I do think, you know, I even to this day, Kylie Jenner, not like everyone's cup of tea, but she went off the radar for 9 months when she was pregnant with her first child.
That's right.
And I have to say, like, kudos to you. You know, like you just hibernated because you didn't want any negative attention or whatever for being a super young pregnant woman. Loved it. And I'm like, oh, how nice would that be? Like if you were pregnant and you just didn't work, didn't have access to anyone that annoyed you, like just we're in your little bubble because you just want everything to be clean and happy and safe.
Do you know that that's the way it should be?
But we don't all have that privilege of Kylie Jenner's $1 billion.
No, 100%. We can't just. No, I know, but you know, I did an episode about this type of confinement after birth.
Right.
There should be something in the pregnancy.
Yeah.
Because
that's where you're making the baby.
So this like level of I don't want to say isolation, but hibernation to really look after yourself.
100%.
It happens maybe once, twice, 3 times in your life.
Yeah.
Where you really do need to focus. This toxic stress and whatever it is that's going on in your life does have an effect.
100%.
Regardless.
So that's
amazing.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I'm like, that's something I want to manifest. I want to manifest a cute little house in the mountains or something. Yeah. Somewhere where I'm surrounded by nature, because that's super important to me. And maybe take a sabbatical from work.
Yeah.
If my partners are listening, don't hate me. But
not anytime soon, but
maybe
in the future.
Do something like that where I'm like, you know what? For the next 9 months, I'm just going to connect to my body and what's happening in there and the earth. Like, I want to be just very connected.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's possible.
I mean, it is. Why wouldn't it be?
You never know. I'm a workaholic, so I might just be like, get me out of here. Give me some WhatsApp.
Let's go back to Dubai. I need to go back to the traffic.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Do you, I mean, obviously just, we kind of touched on it with the injections and things like that, but can you give people who are listening a high level of what the actual procedure was like going in, getting your tests done, and then do they,
of course,
what do they do?
Okay, so you go in, if I remember correctly, I can't believe it's been 3 years, by the way, this year. You go in, you do blood tests. So they check everything. They check your AMH, as I mentioned, and then you meet your doctor. And then she basically gives you a rundown with the nurse of everything that you have to do for the hormone injections. Yeah. And they change throughout the 2 weeks. So at the beginning, there is certain type of injection with the, I don't know what they're called, but you know, like if you have an EpiPen.
Yeah, they're like these like shot things.
Yeah, very easy to use. It's like a pen. Mm-hmm. And then only later, I guess as you get more accustomed to it, it's like a full-on like a syringe injection.
Okay. Yeah.
But essentially, as I mentioned, you can go into the clinic and have a nurse do this for you. Or if you feel comfortable, do it at home. Or get your sister or your husband or your boyfriend or your cousin or whoever it is supporting you to do it for you. Natalia didn't come near me. She's like,
I can't do it.
I can't see that.
Yeah, I can't imagine her being comfortable with it.
No, she was absolutely not ready to see me do that. But she was so supportive though. So you do that, and then you go in for scans every few days, and they just check to see how many eggs, because basically the hormones are there to stimulate the egg growth and the count, and just get them to all come out, you know. And you're not, I want to think you are on your period. I can't remember.
Okay.
But
or maybe in your cycle at some point.
Yes, I think we stop the period, if I'm not mistaken.
Or the first day of your period. Anyway, we can cross check. We can cross check it with the fertility
specialist.
Because
I think what happens is instead of releasing during a period, you keep them.
Oh, got you. Okay. I'll double check.
Double check. Yeah. And then this was the scariest part. So after my last scan, she was like, "There's enough. You know, they're big enough, and you can see them. They're like." Massive at this point. And that's when I'm like, oh, that's where the bloat is, because my eggs are ginormous.
Do you get them from both ovaries?
Both, it depends.
Okay,
so one was weaker than the other.
There's always a lazy one,
always. And I think it might be different for women with polycystic ovaries, so they'll have everyone is different, and you really don't want to be comparing, or like, I'll tell you why in a second.
Okay.
So you go and do your final scan, and then she gives you one last injection. It's called the trigger shot.
Okay.
And she's like, listen, your procedure is at 9 a.m. tomorrow. So you must take this at 9 p.m. No, not a second later.
Oh my God.
Okay. So I'm like, okay. I go out for a dinner. At this point, like, it's just curfew. It's no longer
what I remember.
Yeah. So we go out for a dinner. We had a dinner, and I had to take the trigger shot with me. So I'm like, I can't miss this trigger shot, you know? So we're at this dinner. I go to pee, and I look in my bag, and I realize I don't have the little attachment for the syringe, and it's like 8:45.
Oh my God.
I'm like, nah, we need to leave right now. I need to go home right now. I need to take my trigger shot on time. And I had to quickly like say bye to the people and be like, I have to go. I have a trigger shot to take.
I was like, what?
Yeah. And no one knew, you know? So I'm like, I have to go. And this was like my first little experience of putting my little eggs first, you know? I'm like, this is like a little snippet into motherhood.
Yeah.
It's no longer about
It's
you.
not about you, it's about your eggs.
It's about my eggs.
Yeah.
So I went home. I took the trigger shot. I think I was like 2 minutes late. And
Were you freaking out?
I was freaking out because she was very strict about this. And even the next day, she was like, what time did you take it?
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
9:02. And she looks up and she's like, 9:02. I'm like, it's within a 5-minute window, but she was very precise. So anyway.
Oh my God.
So you go in and then you have the anesthetic because you go under.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird. You walk into this room.
It's like a theater, like an OT. Yeah.
And it's very clinical,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't like things like that. I'm a very natural person. I don't even like doctors and hospitals. Like I'm not a medicine person. So I wish it was at home. Honestly,
just
I was
somewhere,
like,
just, you know,
somewhere
outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you have the bed with the stirrups and the
Yeah, just what you imagine it
a
to be.
clinical thing.
Yeah.
But even weirder, just
Okay.
full on info.
Yeah.
There's a woman behind a little window, and you walk up to the window and you're like, hi. She's like, name, date of birth, everything. I'm like, Reem Kanj, whatever. She's like, okay, confirm that this is you. I'm like, okay. And then I realize I am giving my eggs asleep. They're taking my eggs out of my body. I'm asleep. And I'm relying on them to not mix up my eggs with anyone else's eggs.
Can you imagine?
This is the scary thing.
Yeah.
So
And it is a thought that goes through. I mean, obviously, it's
Of
completely
course.
irrational because that would never happen. But it
you
is-
know best.
Yeah, no, it would never, ever happen.
Okay.
But it is something that you think about. Like, imagine
100%.
somebody else's eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's always scary, you
Yeah.
know? But anyway, obviously, like you said, it would never happen. And you get on this bed and within 5 seconds you're out.
Yeah.
And then this thing happens and you wake up and you're in the other room. And then maybe after a couple of hours when the anesthesia wears off, your sister picks you up, your husband, your boyfriend, your cousin, whatever, your mom, and you wake up, you go home and they make you a cup of tea. You sit down on the couch, you put Friends on.
That's it.
They give you a call and they're like, you retrieved X amount of eggs. We retrieved this amount of eggs.
Yeah.
And you're like, great, thank you. I'll see those babies in a few years, you know?
And they just freeze them and put
And
them
they
away.
freeze them. Fast forward a year, I get a call from the hospital, the clinic,
Yeah.
and they're like, are you interested in still keeping your eggs? I'm like, what do you mean? They're
Don't
like,
throw them away.
They're like, you didn't make the payment for the refreeze or whatever. I'm like, what? And they're like, you have to pay every June, whatever. I'm
Yeah.
like, someone email me. Like,
Yeah,
of course
I had no
wanted-
idea.
I
Yeah.
had no idea. So
Yeah.
now it's in my calendar, pay for your eggs,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
because I almost missed it.
Could you imagine just throw them out?
I would have
What a disaster.
died.
They wouldn't have, but yeah. Yeah.
So every year they refreeze. And for me, this year will be my 3rd year. And, you know, there's always that question of,
Is this the year we're going to thaw?
or are you going to use them?
Yeah.
So, because I still believe I can have kids. This was never a thing that I can't have kids.
Got you. Yeah. It's almost like you're going to give it inshallah, when you're ready to have children, you're going to try to have kids. Naturally. And should you not be able to, you've got eggs.
Or,
Yeah.
let's say I start at 36.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just say I start
Inshallah.
next year, inshallah.
Yeah.
And I have my natural conceived babies. Let's say I have 2 of them. And then at this point, I'm like 42. And I'm like, I want to have another one.
Yeah.
But I can't because maybe it's a bit late.
Yeah.
You know, tried, didn't work.
Yeah.
And now I have my frozen eggs. But then I'm going to think, is this baby smarter than that baby because I was detoxing when I froze my
30.
eggs?
And also I was 35.
So is that baby technically younger? Like, it's a weird thing. I think just don't think about it.
Don't
Like,
think about it. Plus, I don't know much about it, but I don't think you should ever think about
Yeah.
that.
And I don't know if it works that way. Those eggs are younger than, they are, but
The thing is, I don't know much about what's going on with age of eggs. I need to actually ask a
Okay,
fertility
that's a
specialist.
good question, I
Yeah,
guess.
but I don't think that has anything to do with who they turn out to be.
Yeah, I mean,
I highly doubt.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I was at a dinner the other day, and one of the women was saying, you know, I froze my eggs, but I'm going to try naturally. I'm like, yeah, me too, for sure. But this is in case at 40 something,
I want a
let's say it might
baby.
be difficult.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, yeah, like I didn't think about that.
Hmm.
So, yeah. So when you retrieve the eggs,
Did you feel any pain or discomfort?
No. I was completely fine. I was just, yeah, normal. Just another day. It's like getting your period. You know, like
Yeah.
you just want to be cozy and lazy with a
You're
blanket.
a little bit more vulnerable than you would be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it was so. I just remember being so happy and like, hey, like weight lifted off my shoulders.
It's so good. It's so good. I feel like it should be, I mean, I don't know, it sounds ridiculous, but a prerequisite for anyone who's 30.
I feel like it should be part of like
Education.
and I think women should be offered it free
100%.
because it's very expensive. And that's why in my video I mentioned I realize I'm very privileged to be able to afford this because it's not a cheap procedure. It's not a cheap situation to be in. But like, for example, the countries that are kind enough to offer healthcare, like the NHS or, you know, some places in Europe, offer it to women for free. Like, let them feel like they don't have to rush and have babies too soon or out of pressure from their families or their husbands or whoever it is or themselves to have kids and just be like, okay, I can just take a second and think about this.
I think it all goes back to making these rush decisions. Making or avoiding rush decisions to start a family when you're just not ready.
Right.
And to avoid that type of stuff, I mean, this could lead to less messy divorces. This could lead to less domestic abuse. This could lead to a whole bunch of things.
Absolutely.
Just because you just waited
Yeah.
for the right time. And they always say there's never a right time to have kids. Yeah, but I mean, there is sometimes a right time to find a person that you're
100%,
comfortable with, you know, and that doesn't necessarily need to be at 20 or at 40.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
It is something that needs to be looked at. But I do know that, yeah, in some places that I think also after having tried certain, I think fertility treatments or something like that, it is offered.
You know,
free.
it's also funny because we're talking about eliminating this sense of pressure.
Yeah.
But immediately after I froze my eggs and they told me I had retrieved 9,
That's a lot of eggs.
but it's not enough.
Oh, wow.
So usually you want around 12 or more,
Really?
apparently.
Okay.
And then a friend of mine was so inspired by...
I thought you just need 1 egg.
Well,
Just in case it
You don't
doesn't
know.
work. Okay. Yeah.
I think that's... Yeah, because you just don't know.
Yeah.
So actually what they do is they retrieve many, but 9 of them were good.
Okay. Got you.
So that's what it is.
Okay.
And a friend of mine ended up doing it a year after me, and she retrieved 18.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that's amazing. And then I realized very instantly, I'm like, here I am now being like, feeling pressure. Should I do it again? Because the more, and they started saying, are you going to do another round?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. So the pressure doesn't stop. It's like, you got 9, now you need more, you know, just in case. And I'm like, I said, no, I'm not going to do another round. I did this for me to feel like I have my insurance. I have my insurance.
Yeah.
I'm also not so convinced that I absolutely need this insurance. And like we just discussed, I would like to try naturally. So I want to eliminate all this like pressure of, okay, freeze your eggs in case you don't get married soon enough. Okay, done that. Okay, but now do another one because you didn't get enough. And it's like constant pressure on women to just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I eliminated all that noise and I was like, no,
I'm happy.
and
this is great.
and that's it.
Yeah.
Like I'm done.
Good.
Yeah,
It's good. Mental health.
exactly.
Prioritize
Yeah.
it. No, 100%. And of course, so the entire procedure, you would say it takes a month?
No, 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah, that's it.
That's nothing.
Yeah, I know. It's nothing. Like you
From injections to egg
procedure.
retrieval?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
really good.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah.
I was on a shoot yesterday and one of the other people on the shoot with me, I'm like, where are you going? She had a suitcase. She's like, I'm going to Europe. I don't want to say where in case it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and I'm like, oh, cool, vacation. She's like, I'm going to go freeze my eggs. I'm like, amazing. And she's going just to go and do that for 2 weeks. So yeah,
Oh, wow.
that's the amount of time that you need.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
And that includes downtime, which is
Well, I mean, downtime is
not
like,
really downtime.
as women, like,
just get up and go.
you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
I need to show you a video of me like here we go. I got so used to needles at that point.
Did you have to alternate places?
No, you just pick up a little bit of skin and
just
inject straight into it, and then I was like a pro.
How do you feel now?
About
Just the whole thing.
very happy.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's a sense of pride when I say I've frozen my eggs. You know, like those people that are like, I invested my money. Like, I'm like, I froze my eggs.
Yeah, but I mean, technically you did. You invested in yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do. I feel a sense of pride, and I'm extremely happy that I made the decision to share the story, because the amount of people that I know it's helped or guided or inspired, I'm super proud of that. And I feel like that's what platforms should be used for.
Absolutely.
And ever since then, I felt like nothing compares to that piece of information. It has been so culturally changing, especially in our region, you know, where it's not like a topic of conversation.
Absolutely.
And now it's becoming more and more normal.
Yeah.
And I feel like I had something to do with that. And
That's
I feel
really good.
really proud of that.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
You should, because it is hearing people's experiences, and to have this sort of, you know, yes, you do have a platform, and to be able to actually go through what you went through, your headspace at the time, how you made that decision is important for people to be like, okay, yeah, that's really cool.
Right.
I'm, you know, you get almost a little bit of courage to take that first step.
Absolutely.
So it is very important, and to share that story. And that's why you're also here, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that are thinking, oh, you know, maybe this is a good idea, maybe it's not. People who might be wanting kids, maybe not right now. You don't know what everyone's story is, but you do have options
Yeah,
that can be tailored for anybody.
for sure.
So it is really important.
Yeah. And I think it's just open conversation.
Yeah.
No judgment.
Yeah, no
and
judgment.
Yeah.
I don't know why there would be any judgment,
Yeah.
but just keep that aside. Like,
Yeah.
it shouldn't even enter this type of space.
Yeah, for sure.
If you had people, or if you've got somebody that's coming up to you and said, I'm thinking about freezing my eggs, what would be like your top advice before they go into it? Or should they just do it without
Absolutely
even
do it.
just do it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, and this person that I had the shoot with yesterday is married.
Okay.
And she's been married.
Yeah.
And for a while,
Yeah.
I mean. And I just think that that's a great example.
You don't have to be
You don't have to be
single.
single.
Yes.
Like, it's not because I don't think I'm ever going to get married and no one wants me. Let
Yeah.
me freeze my eggs.
just because I'm
Like,
going to
trust
hold
me.
on to No,
No, it's as
Yeah.
a woman, am I ready to have kids now, or do I want to wait until I'm in my late 30s? Because I don't want to right now. I want to focus on my husband, or I want to travel the world, or I want to work on my career, or I just don't want to right now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not ready.
Do you know, honestly, now thinking about it, I mean, I married Nasser at 30.
Mm.
I had Laith at 32,
Mm.
and then Zayn at 35. Thinking back, and I mean, they are the biggest blessing in my life, and I absolutely love them, and I wouldn't change a thing. But I don't know why it didn't pop into my head at the time that maybe I could have bought myself 5 years
Yeah.
to now. I mean, of course, traveling with kids is a different ballgame.
Yeah.
You know, our sort of little getaways are, you know, 72 hours, 3 nights where we can just, you know. So there is that aspect for married people, because I did find him a bit later on in life. I wasn't 25 and we had 10 years to do whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, now, yeah, married people, consider it.
Consider it.
Yeah.
And actually, yeah, I know Tracy, one of my really good friends,
Yeah.
spoke about it publicly, so I'm
Yeah.
sure she wouldn't mind me mentioning it.
Yeah.
But she's also married and did it.
And did it, yeah.
And like, there's no need for it to be like for a specific, you know, like you fit into this box, therefore you must freeze your eggs, or you don't need to because you're married. No way. It's not like that. And now, let's say I met the love of my life and I want to get married. if I have kids immediately, it's because I want to have kids now. It's not because I'm like, quick, I just
Time
got
is
married.
running out.
Yeah. So everything is a conscious decision now. It's not a rushed, like we said, pressurized, forced decision.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm really
And also,
very
you just
happy.
never know.
Yeah.
Like, what if it doesn't work out and it's harder for whatever reason? At least you have those eggs in reserve, and you're like, let's try these.
Yeah. Another option.
Yeah.
Another avenue to explore.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm all for it.
Good.
What's next, Reem Kanj?
Hopefully a vacation.
Yay! Amazing.
I'm like booking one today.
Yes.
Inshallah.
Amazing.
I'm excited.
We've got a really fun wedding coming
And
up.
we have our friend's wedding.
Yeah.
And we have Janet to thank also for
come on.
seeding us
Thank
with
you,
the
Janet.
egg freezing.
Yes,
Thank you,
exactly.
Janet.
Thank you.
I love it. It's all come 360.
It does, doesn't it?
So yeah, a lot of exciting things. It's getting really hot in Dubai.
Fast approaching. Summer is around
Summer
the corner.
is around the corner, and before you know it, it's going to be the end of 2023.
We're just going to keep getting older, but more wiser and more confident and better at what we do.
I'm excited about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
There's one last question. I'm going to ask you if you have a favorite quote.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I came across this concept in 2017 when I was getting my divorce, and it's time is an illusion. And I really do believe that.
Absolutely.
I believe that there is no time. We're just constantly in the now.
Yeah.
So I try and hold on to that as much as possible.
Yeah.
There's no need to regret the past or worry about the future. And all you really need to focus on is the moment.
I love it. It's perfect.
Yay.
And thank you so much. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
It is personal.
I love you.
Me too.
I'm so happy that we made this happen.
Me too, honestly. And I'm really, really thankful. I feel this is really going to be refreshing, something that people want to get into, want to listen to, get your insights. I love that. It was super positive, very encouraging. It's not intimidating at all, and that all just goes to show
I'm
that
happy.
you're just...
And honestly, it's been 3 years since I posted about this, but I still get questions. So if anyone does want to reach out, they are more than happy to. I am more than happy to answer any questions. Yeah.
It's also great to get experiences from actual people, as opposed to the doctors are wonderful and they'll give you the full rundown of what's going to, what you're going to expect.
Right.
But from a person who's gone through the whole thing, it's a completely different sort of story.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I'm really thankful for you to be here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to They Say It Takes a Village. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I look forward to bringing you another one next week. Don't forget, please subscribe, rate, and review so I can reach and help even more parents. And if you've got a topic that you'd like me to cover, please head over to my Instagram page, ittakesavillage.me, and drop me a line.